All right, let's talk about what's going on at Liverpool Football Club. Because on the surface, you might look at some recent results and think everything's fine. But if you dig just a little deeper, you'll see a club that's actually facing a perfect storm of problems. Problems that could really define its entire future. So let's break it all down.
It kind of all starts right here. You see, they had this recent 4-1 FA Cup win, which should have been a big confidence booster, right? But anyone who actually watched that game will tell you the scoreline was, well, incredibly flattering. It was a win, sure, but the performance, it was anything but convincing.
And this quote from a fan analysis, it just absolutely nails the feeling right now. There's this massive disconnect between the results on paper and how people are feeling about the team's progress. And this one game, it's really just a symptom of a much, much bigger issue that's been brewing.
Yeah, because this isn't about one unconvincing win. Not at all. It's about a bunch of problems all converging at the exact same time. You've got a manager under some serious pressure, a club legend who suddenly becomes available, and a defensive crisis that's threatening the very foundation of the team. This, right here, is the perfect storm.
So let's start with the man in the hot seat, Arne Slot. Right now, pretty much any conversation about Liverpool's future has to begin and end with some big questions about his leadership and whether he's the right guy for the long haul. Now, you'll hear this statistic thrown around a lot, an 11-game unbeaten run in all competitions. And on paper, hey, that sounds fantastic. It sounds like the ship is being steadied after a rough patch. But is it a true sign of progress, or is it just masking some deeper issues?
Well, here's the number that kind of challenges that whole narrative. 5. That's it. That's the number of league games Liverpool have actually won since late September. Look, an unbeaten run is one thing, but not being able to turn those games into wins in the league, that's a far more telling statistic.
And this sentiment, it just captures the frustration that so many people are feeling. What they're seeing on the pitch just doesn't seem to line up with some of the stats. There's this growing feeling that the team isn't just treading water, but it's really struggling to find its way under Slot.
And the doubts, they run deep. For one, his contract is ticking down, and there's been zero talk in the media about an extension. Then there's the criticism that he just doesn't trust the young talent, giving them what people call garbage minutes at the very end of games. And the fact he had to bring on the big guns just to beat Barnsley, that really added fuel to the fire.
Okay, so just as all this doubt is swirling around Slot, a huge new element gets thrown into the mix: Xabi Alonso. The fan favorite, the former player, he's suddenly a free agent, and his availability, well, it changes everything.
Now get this, his exit from Real Madrid had nothing to do with bad results. Sources say it was all about a clash of culture. He demanded really high standards, extra gym work, tactical discipline, and he reportedly ran into some resistance from big player egos and didn't get the board's backing. For a lot of people, that actually makes him look even better, like a real no-nonsense manager. And his credentials, they really speak for themselves. His win rate at Real Madrid was 71.4%. That's higher than club legends like Zinedine Zidane and Carlo Ancelotti. So we're not just talking about a popular ex-player here. We are talking about a manager with an absolutely elite track record.
So this is what it all comes down to. On one hand, you have the current manager with a shaky league record and growing doubts. And on the other, you have a club legend with an incredible win rate who the fans adore and, this is the key part, is available right now. This is the really stark choice that Liverpool's owners are facing.
And believe me, the race is on. Reports are saying Alonso has a very short list of clubs he wants to manage, and Liverpool is right there at the top. The bookies have already made him the favorite to take over at Anfield, and there's absolutely no question he would be a hugely popular appointment.
But look, this perfect storm isn't just about what's happening in the manager's office. The problems are spilling right onto the pitch, especially with a defense that is facing a full-blown crisis on a couple of different fronts. First, there's the immediate problem: injuries. The promising young right-back, Connor Bradley, is now out for several months. That's a massive blow, and it has completely thrown the club's plans into chaos, leaving them scrambling to find cover in a really important position. But honestly, the long-term picture is even scarier. Just look at this timeline. Right now, Ibrahima Konaté's contract talks have totally stalled, and it looks like he could leave. And then, in just 12 months, both Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez are out of contract. This isn't just a small problem. It's a potential collapse of the entire central defense. And this quote, man, you can just feel the frustration from the fan base. The need for a defender is so obvious, the contract situations are alarming, yet there's this feeling that the club is just not acting in the transfer market. For a lot of people watching, it's just baffling. And the whole situation with Mark Guéhi from Crystal Palace is a perfect example.
The need is crystal clear. He's been identified as the top target. But while rivals like Man City and Bayern Munich are apparently making their moves, Liverpool just seems to be hesitant. It's leaving fans wondering if they're going to get left behind.
So when you put it all together, the uncertainty around the manager, the sudden availability of a club legend, the defensive injuries, the contract time bomb, and the transfer standoff, it becomes so clear. This is an absolutely crucial turning point for Liverpool.
This really all boils down to 4 critical questions for the ownership group, FSG. Do they stick with the current manager, or do they make a move for Alonso? Do they finally go out and sign a defender, or do they just gamble on the current squad? Do they sort out these expiring contracts now, or do they get ready for a huge defensive rebuild? Basically, do they act, or do they wait?
The stakes could not be any higher. The path they choose in the next few weeks and months isn't just going to define this season, it's going to set the entire course for the next era of Liverpool Football Club. The big question for everyone watching is, what happens next?